Good afternoon, everybody. This is TJ, your Annie, and welcome to Mosaic. I'm going to go ahead and ask you to like and subscribe if you haven't done so already. For those of you who are new to my channel, welcome. I started this channel in May because as I transitioned to the third act of my life, I wanted to try to give back through some of the things I've learned. I have some interviews with people who have touched my life, influenced my life, to include my mom, my daughter, and also do some reaction videos, and more importantly, my husband, who is my everyday Valentine. I'm gonna a critique, if you will, on some news that has come across, that I've come across on YouTube. And the reason why I want to do that, because there are many out there who take the position that the things or the issues of the past as it relates to Black people, civil rights, institutional racism, prejudice, bias is a thing of the past, and it has no bearing on now. While I have a different school of thought. My school of thought is, inasmuch as there have been tremendous advances in legislation and treatment of not only Black people but also minorities as a whole, we must not close our eyes to the fact that there are wrongs that still need to be right or righted. There are things of the past that still affect the now. There are those that walk among us who still have the same mindset and that have the power, still have the power to influence a regression of progress. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to share a couple of videos with you and give some commentary on it. The first video, actually, it comes out of California. And I didn't know anything about this story. Maybe, it made national news, but I guess I wasn't paying attention. It made national news in April of this year. And it highlights a family whose land was literally stolen from them. I say again, stolen from them. Let's take a look.
Right a wrong from nearly a century ago. Officials in Los Angeles County are scenic Manhattan Beach property that was seized from a family. And ABC's Zoreen Shah is right there this morning. Zoreen, good morning to you.
Good morning, Dan. A family bought this land about 100 years ago for under $2 grand. They were one of Manhattan Beach's first Black landowners until that land was taken away. Look, this is a massive space. We are right by the beach. By some estimates, it's worth about $75 million. Now the county is trying to right this wrong. This morning, LA County taking the first steps towards correcting a centuries-old injustice.
We will change the state law to allow the family to get their land back from LA County.
In 1912, Willa and Charles Bruce bought the first of 2 Ocean View lots for $1,225. Experts say it could now be worth up to $75 million.
This was an injustice inflicted not just upon Willa and Charles Bruce, but generations of their descendants who almost certainly would have been millionaires.
County Supervisor Janice Hahn, an LA County native, saying she hadn't heard of the Bruces until Black Lives Matter activists protested at Bruce's Beach last summer. The Bruces, among the city's first Black landowners. They created a beach resort for their community who were barred from local beaches due to segregation.
Bruce's Beach became a lively and flourishing resort.
Anthony Bruce is one of the last living descendants of Willa and Charles Bruce.
I did hear about this growing up.
For years, Willa, Charles, and their guests were targets of relentless racist attacks and harassment from white neighbors and the KKK.
That's why we moved away, but we didn't move away willingly. And that land was stolen from us because we would be millionaires today. If there's generational wealth, that can be transferred or inherited, then there should be also generational debt that should be incurred and taken care of too.
In 1929, the city took the Bruce's property by eminent domain, citing the urgent need for a public park. But for decades, it sat empty. Today, LA County's lifeguard training headquarters sits on the Bruce's property.
I want people to take away from this that there is justice and that you have to pursue it. And your family can find peace for some of the wrongs that were committed against them in the past.
And there's still a lot of bumps on the road. One relative reportedly upset because the city has not formally apologized. Another anonymous group opposes the transfer, saying it's only happening because Manhattan Beach is falsely being accused of being a racist city. Dan?
Quite a story. Zoreen, thank you very much.
I had to fight back the tears because of how angry this story has made me. So when you consider the fact that the Bruces bought this land in 1924 and they built a resort because black people were not free to use the other beaches in the area. So they created a place where black people could go, not unlike Black Wall Street. So we couldn't go to their beaches. We created one area for ourselves. That wasn't good enough either. So I paid particular attention to the story that stated that the Bruces were harassed relentlessly by neighbors and the KKK. And when that was unsuccessful, the city all of a sudden needed a park, and they needed to acquire this land under eminent domain due to the necessity of a park. And when it comes down to it, not only is a park not built, the land is vacant for decades, only to create a most important lifeguard academy. Are you for real? Are you for real? But see, here's the thing. The Black Lives Matter movement has issues of its own, and I'm not here to debate nor argue that. But had they not protested, who's to say that the last among the few living Bruce relatives, they still may not have gotten any justice because that would have died with them. So again, the black people couldn't have their own beach or their own property resort because, they didn't want us over there. But we couldn't be over here either. What I find interesting, and I'm sure that you will think about this, you may find it interesting as well. Again, coincidentally, after the harassment didn't yield the result that the KKK wanted, all of a sudden under eminent domain, I submit to you, the officials, the state officials, the legislators, or the administrators were the same people that were in the KKK. So we couldn't get it that way. Let's get it this way. Is that not happening right now? I'm just saying. All right. Moving on to the next video. Shout out to Dr. Rashad Richey with the Indisputable channel, and also I believe the Young Turks. Shout out to them as well for this content that I am commenting on. So let's get into this video.
An ex-Georgia sheriff who was still on a powerful state position has resigned because he is in a picture in a KKK outfit. Let's put up the picture. Here's the picture of the former sheriff. You see that? Okay, let me give you the background to this sheriff named Roger Garrison. A former Georgia sheriff has resigned a state position after a photo of him appearing in the robes of the KKK, the Ku Klux Klans, surfaced again. Now, this actually came out before, a few years ago, all right? It came out, it was more of a local issue, a local story, and he was the sheriff for 20 years for Cherokee County in the state of Georgia. Well, after he resigned from being sheriff, he was then appointed by another powerful Republican in the state of Georgia to serve on a commission called the JQC. That is the Judicial Qualifying Commission, or Qualification Commission. Roger Garrison, who was sheriff of Cherokee County for 20 years until 2016, resigned earlier this week from the investigation panel of the watchdog organization known as the Judicial Qualifications Commission. That was reported by the Atlanta Journal-Constitution. He was appointed August 19th. Now, I want to remind you, all of his Republican buddies, they were aware of this picture. Let's put it up again. They knew about it. This was no secret among his Republican colleagues. He then gets a role, a position in the state of Georgia appointed by this individual who was the Speaker of the House. Let's put him up. His name is David Ralston. Let's put up David. He's the Speaker of the Georgia House. He's the guy who put this appointment together. Sheriff Garrison resigned from the JQC. A spokesperson for the Georgia House Speaker, David Ralston, a Republican, told the newspaper. The Speaker will appoint a replacement as soon as practical. No other details were offered. Now, you know what the Speaker didn't say? Well, I just didn't know about this history. I was not aware that this guy liked to put on KKK outfits and take pictures with his buddies. And let's put the picture up one more time, because I want you to pay attention to what looks to be a Miller Lite. Okay? This is not the Proud Boy starter kit of racism. This is the advanced model. A KKK outfit, Miller Lite, and a good buddy to share it with, and somebody who's dumb enough to take a picture of it. There you have it. Here's what the former sheriff said, and I quote, he said, "I don't deny it wasn't stupid looking back now, but there again, I say, what, 21, 22-year-old in this world hasn't made some stupid mistakes." Let me say this.
Okay, listen. I've been 21, I've been 22. Again, who are your parents? You are influenced by your parents. So there was a reason you felt comfortable enough to do that. Because even, I'm gonna guess you might be 50, 60, there is no way I would have done something. And I'm not saying I didn't do my stuff. But heaven help me if I would have did something as despicable as that, to disgrace my mother, my grandfather. Because again, I can't speak for this generation of kids, but back coming up, they ask, who are your people? Who are your people when you're doing some bull crap like that? See, my generation now, who are your people? No. See, and again, it wasn't stupid, but it was a mindset. There's a reason he even thought to do something like that. Miss me with that.
I know young people make mistakes. I've made mistakes. I'm going to make some more. But hopping your bigoted ass into a KKK outfit,
exactly,
and taking a picture with your KKK buddy, you know, not the kind of mistake we're talking about when referring to youthful indiscretion here.
Right.
Now, according to the former sheriff, this was all a costume. It was part of some Halloween tradition. But here's the thing, you can't get those KKK outfits in a regular ass costume store.
Okay, that's what I'm talking about.
According to the sheriff, he says, I would ask that they look at my honor, my integrity, and the things we've done for this sheriff's office.
What changed in your mindset?
What in office? What in the fresh hell? Okay?
Okay, so why am I reviewing these two clips? I'm reviewing these two clips because there are two black men that are running for in gubernatorial elections, the upcoming for Allen West, I believe, for Texas, and some Larry Elder in California. And there are various conservative black men and women. And I'm not going to lie, there's some views that of mine that would be considered conservative, more conservative than liberal. Well, excuse me, even in my conservatism, excuse me, there's no way I would discount what has happened and what continues to happen on a systematic, far as systematic and institutional racism goes. I'm not here to say that it is across the board. I am not here to say that every European, Caucasian person is of that mindset. But I am here to say I will not deny the fact that it exists. I won't deny that. And it bothers me that certain black people have turned a blind eye to this and have said we're running in the victim Olympics, or we're participating in the victim Olympics. I take exception to that, because I just wonder, this story out of California is one of, I'm sure, many stories that their land was stolen from them. The descendants either don't know or they've passed away, because this particular example, this land was purchased over a century ago, well, almost a century. So people are gone, people are dead. But what has happened? Just as the descendants of these landowners have not benefited from the generational wealth that could have been passed down to them, those who have stolen the land, the descendants of those who have stolen the land, have benefited from it. But yet those are the same ones that will tell us, or tell black people, you just want a handout. Yeah. Those are the same ones who talk about we just want to divide. Those are the same ones who say that black folk don't deserve reparation, because yet again, just as their ancestors were slave owners, slave traders, and benefited and got wealth that was passed down to them, the same thing has happened in the reverse for black people. So it is easy for those to say, well, pull yourself up from the bootstraps, because you've benefited from the wealth that was gotten from stolen land. Not all. Not all, but some. And not unlike this last story, you have sheriffs, local officials, state government officials, federal government officials, judges that still have the same mindset as the KKK, and some actually might be members, who are making the laws, who are making the policies that can enact or enforce in eminent domain because they want something and make up a necessity as to why they have to have it. So yet again, I'm going to ask you people, you young people, for those of you who have ancestors that are still in their right mind, I'm going to ask you, because we have this technology, interview them. Find out your history. Find out where your people from. If there's any land that was owned by your people, what happened to that land? If there was oil, any natural resources that your people own, what happened to it? Get this, because I'm not a conspiracy theorist, but I'm willing to bet that many people are hoping that the descendants of the black landowners, the black mineral rights owners, that they die off before recompense can be made. That's all I have to say about that.